Welcome back to the news at 10. The International AIDS Conference in Durban, South Africa has ended, with renewed commitment to find ways to end the disease by 2030, as well as improve funding and treatment access to everyone who needs it. While many agree that the country has made progress in the fight against the virus, they say it could still do more, especially with domestic investment in response efforts. Our South Africa Bureau Chief, Pt.3, reports.
At this conference, we have seen renewed commitment to attaining previously set goals, especially ending HIV and AIDS by 2030. Nigeria has more than 3 million people living with the virus and barely 20% of those on treatment. How far along is the country coming towards attaining these set goals, especially with donor fund drying up?
We are making progress, but one of the things that has held us back, we are not documenting enough.
We have not done as well as we could have done in terms of treatment. Now, the other area that we're really struggling with is mother-to-child transmission.
There had really been a significant impact because before now you don't get those target population, key populations coming out, but right now we can reach them.
But there are still challenging issues. First, how many people in Nigeria are actually living with HIV?
Whichever of those surveys used in Nigeria give us a prevalence estimate of over 3%, closer to 3.5%.
If we look at all the programmatic data that we have, and we have tested tons and thousands of people, we are under 2%.
We have 60,000 kids born HIV positive in Nigeria every year. We have the largest burden.
The data you have is not very correct. In all the testings we have been doing, okay, both from NACA and the Ministry of Health and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in their maternal, newborn and child health clinics, which is now quarterly from 2. It's much lower, all lower than 2%.
There's also the issue of research and development, which South Africa has taken quite far.
We also expect our governments to ensure increased investment in research and development.
I think government commitment to research and development is imperative, because if government leads, then the private sector would follow.
The ending of the U.S. presidential emergency plan for AIDS relief, Pt.3, is quite worrying for many.
We are very worried because if PEPFAR leaves Nigeria, I wouldn't know. We're just going to go back to the same ditch we've been coming from.
So many people are not paying for their treatments, consumables, because American government has been withdrawing their funding, and Nigerian government as a government is not taking the ownership and responsibility, ownership and the sustainability.
Most of the PHIVs who are not able to pay, what they've resorted to do is to default, and some of them who can fund have also resorted in sharing the pills into PCCs to be able to measure up to the amount or number of times they would want it to stay.
Our political commitment must be stronger than this. There is some political commitment at the federal level, it must go up. But it's disappointing at state level and local government level.
This year's AIDS conference has ended, but work goes on behind the scenes. Hopefully Nigeria and the rest of the world will keep moving closer to achieving an AIDS-free generation soon. From Durban, South Africa, Pt.3, Channels Television News.
It may be safe to say everyone at some point have experienced what it feels like to be angry. Psychologists say while anger is a legitimate emotion, it's a problem when it gets out of control and becomes destructive. Our correspondent, Yomiyo Taibe, reports.
Scenes you may have seen at some point or another, the display of anger or aggression. These happen both in the public and private places. Perhaps most times, after such outbursts, issues are resolved without major incidents. But at some other times, some people have been assaulted, maimed, or even killed out of violence fueled by anger.
For one to be angry, yes, it's normal, it's human. But what you do with your anger, how you express your anger, the effect of your anger on yourself and others, that's totally different. And that's where people have
Staying with health matters, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Health, Mrs. Amina Shamaki, has appealed to state governments to key into the federal government's policy targeted at improving public health care for the people. Mrs. Shamaki, who was a speaker at a Healthcare Leadership Academy in Abuja, explained to our audience that the nation can only make meaningful progress if its human resources remain healthy.
Participants from Nasarawa, Cross River, Lagos, Kaduna, Niger, Imo and Delta states at the Leadership Enhancement Forum targeted at improving healthcare delivery for the Nigerian people. Organizers of the event say it will help address issues of poor funding, lack of planning and poor statistics that have served as major setbacks towards good public health management.
The Healthcare Leadership Academy is a partnership between the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria, Health Strategy Delivery Foundation and MPC to create a platform to strengthen the capacity of policymakers and private providers, particularly around leadership, financial management, quality improvement and population health outcomes.
The essence is an attempt and an effort to address the need to have healthcare leaders who can take on the increasingly complex challenges we face in our healthcare system in Africa.
One after the other, government officials give presentations on what they have learned so far and how they hope to ensure adequate public health management strategy becomes a top priority in their states.
We are going back with a lot of skill in planning, a lot of skill in program implementation, a lot of skill in vision to deliver quality health service that we aim to provide universal health coverage in the state.
For the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Health, this is the time to brace up for the challenging needs in the health sector. She says while the federal government will continue to play an important role in public health management, it expects the state governments to key in to achieve better results.
All it takes, including the fact that the local government and the state government should be in tandem in the positioning and repositioning and training and retraining of healthcare professionals for the primary healthcare development agencies.
And with this renewed commitment by members of the private sector in providing better access to health by all Nigerians, many hope that the nation's health sector will become better soon for it.
Well, let's take a look at what made headlines in the world of business today with Anne Wawudu.
Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee is scheduled to hold its fourth meeting of the year from Monday the 25th through to Tuesday the 26th. Now, while market watchers speculate the outcome of the meeting, it is widely expected that the committee will be more proactive than reactive in its response to the current economic challenges. At its last meeting in May, the committee retained the monetary policy rate at 12% with asymmetric corridor at plus 200 basis points and minus 700 basis points. It also retained the cash reserve requirement at 22.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%. Meanwhile, an economist, Professor Pt.3, wants the monetary policy authorities to revisit the newly introduced foreign exchange program in the country. He said this while critiquing the one-month-old policy at a forum on economic growth during the week. Professor Akpan argues that managed floating remains the best option for foreign exchange in an unproductive economy.
The new foreign exchange market framework is not helping matters, a personal opinion. Okay. I know there are bankers here. Because the foreign exchange, the dollar or the pound, is not your money, it is scarce. Even the central bank thinks that it has 6 months, it can finance 6 months import. It is provisional. Any shock can send this array. And I say as someone who was a member of the central bank board for 5 years and the MPC for 5 years. It's provisional. That currency is not yours. The naira is not convertible. If I send naira abroad, no one will take it. In America, the dollar is convertible domestically and globally. During the global crisis, if you look at the U.S. reserve balance sheet, they were $3 and selling it out. You cannot do that in naira. So once the commodity is scarce, you have to manage it. So a lot of confusion. The best you do a managed float. You watch the market. If the market gives you a price, the so-called market gives you a price, you move the bar.
The economic recession in the country is a wake-up call for Nigerian banks to tap into the informal sector for growth. And this is coming from the president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, Mr. Segun Ajibola. According to him, leading support to the informal sector does not underestimate the high-end investment opportunities in the system.
We have been so monolithic as an economy for long. We've ignored these sectors. Banks can play this role by coming out to more than before, faithfully support these various low level, the lowest rung of the economic ladder, those who occupy that rung. If they can become more economically active, they can be more empowered than what we have today. It will dovetail into better performance for the entire economy as a whole. And banks can do this without abandoning their roles for the small scale and the top level segment of the economy, because all these sectors, they still need banks.
And that ends business news for this week. Thank you for watching. Back to you, Harriet.
Thank you, Anne. The Junior Achievement Nigeria, JAN, today graduated 60 young girls from its annual lead camp, organized to train teenage girls from across Nigeria in the area of entrepreneurship, workplace preparedness and leadership skills. Now in its 6th edition, the JAN Lead Camp is supporting the girl child through intense training and mentoring, exposing them to a network of successful women and a pool of mentor resources. Our correspondent Adeshowa Josh reports.
The graduation ceremony of 60 young girls from what's been described as one of the best avenues to prepare girls for work, financial literacy and entrepreneurship, the Junior Achievement Nigeria Lead Camp. These girls were picked from a pool of applicants, and after going through a week-long intensive leadership, skill acquisition and self-development training from renowned career professionals and leaders, these teenage girls appear ready to become active contributors to their communities.
This platform has made me know that I can be anything I want to be. I can do whatever I want to do, and also I can meet whoever I want to meet.
Having trained over 600,000 students from about 29 cities across Nigeria in the past 17 years, Junior Achievement Nigeria continues to bridge the gap between the classroom and workplace for young girls. The founding executive director is optimistic the program is positioned to support the girl child in Nigeria.
These girls, they come in, you can see them on the first day, they're not sure what to expect, they're not sure who they're going to be friends with, and as soon as they get into it, they forget all those, insecurities and really hone in on supporting each other and supporting their classmates to learn everything that they can.
The bigger picture now is to reach 1 million students by 2020. So what we've done now, we will even supersede that amount because we're now looking into reaching a lot of out-of-school youth.
The sponsors of the program believe supporting the girl child at an early stage is paramount to a girl's ultimate success in life and pivotal to building a successful society.
We really believe that young women are the beginning. Young people are the future anyway, but young women in particular deserve our support because they do not have the same opportunities that boys have, and so it's really about leveling the playing field.
Just always know that as part of your network, which is important for your development, that you have the women at Union Bank as a great part of your network.
Okay. For many of these girls, this is just the beginning, one with a solid foundation. Adeshowa Josh, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, champions Flying Eagles of Nigeria missed out of the 2017 Under-20 AFCON in Zambia following a 4-3 loss to Sudan in the final qualifier. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.